If you're not sure whether you're good at endgames or not, you're about to find out. This is a game between Magnus Carlsen and Alireza Firouzja from the Norway Chess 2024 Super Tournament. And the question is, what are you going to play? Obviously, your rook is under attack, but are you going to take the rook? Are you going to move back? Are you going to move down? What's your choice in this position? Let me know in the comments below what move that you would play, because if you get this one right, you actually did better than Firouzja did in the game. Allow me to explain what I mean. So in this position, Black played the move of rook takes d6. This is what Firouzja played in the time pressure. He then played king f7. White played king e5, getting the king around the pawn. King e7, f6, and... Okay, king f7, king f5 is easy. You know, we get the opposition and we just take the pawn and win, right? So instead, Firouzja played this move of king to f8. And this is a position that I first saw in 2002, actually, when I was like a 9-year-old or something like this. I was just starting to get into chess, basically. So the idea is that if we can get this, basically we're trying to get this position, right? Like if we get this position with Black to move, we just win, as we saw. And if it's White to move, well, we have to be a little bit tricky. So it turns out here that, you know, we don't want to rush with king e6 too fast, because if we go f7, it's only going to be a draw, because we promoted to a 7th rank with a check, right? So we can't just win it right away. And, you know, we already saw king f5, king f7. You know, now it's White to move, not Black. So White does a little triangulation with king to f4. You might be wondering, well, Max, what's the significance of this triangulation? Well, king f7, king f5. We know if we get that with Black to move, we win, right? But after king e8, White now plays to king e4. Like, now we see the triangle kind of forming, right? Again, king f7, we have king f5. That's the key point. So we kind of triangulate around this square. So after king f8, king e5, we actually have the same position we saw a few moves ago, like at this point. But now it's Black to move instead of White to move. And that's what makes all the difference. In the game, Firouzja actually resigned after king e4, realizing what was happening here. And really a bit of a basic mistake, I guess, for a super GM to overlook, but maybe he just didn't look at his endgames recently. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we already know king f7, king f5. I mentioned a few times, you get the idea. And if you are enjoying this video, do make sure to like and also subscribe to the channel for more chess content aimed at you specifically. And if you're an existing subscriber, just tap that notification bell set to all, so you get all of my Grandmaster trainings on here. But if king e8, now king e6, and you might see the difference that now we push the pawn to 7th rank and it's not check, which means they are in the Zugzwang, and now just don't queen because that would be stalemate. But, you know, you can play this and then queen and you'll give mate very, very quickly. So that's basically how White won from this position, because Firouzja just didn't know his pawn endgames. But you might be thinking, well, Max, it's not that great if we play rook b1 either, is it? Because White's just going to take the pawn and be up 2 pawns. And this is where I was sort of testing you a little bit on, you know, how good your endgames are, essentially. Because if you're really good at endgames, you're actually probably going to know that after the move king g7, it's important that we don't let their king get to the 6th rank, by the way. Like if they do play king f6, we are able to, you know, play king g8 and, you know, kind of not get mated is kind of an important point here. But let's say if we do have this position on the board, what you'll kind of see is that this position is actually going to be a draw if you play it correctly. It's known as the rook f and h pawn endgame. Or if, you know, you get confused like with a and c and f and h, you can just call it the rook. And the rook's pawn and bishop's pawn endgame is an easy way to remember it. Because strong chess players know that this position is actually a draw. And if you're really, really good at chess, you'll actually remember how to draw it as well. And if you're wondering, well, Max, how is it a draw? Like, if you don't believe me or you know, want to see the proof, well, the problem is White just can't really make progress easily. Like, let's say they play f6, you know, rook b5, and we take the pawn. That's easy, but what if they go and push the h pawn instead, which is a bit more annoying? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to, first of all, kick their king out of the way, because that can't hurt. King f4, we can just keep giving him checks ad infinitum like this. And we're just going to go like check, check, check all over the place until they, you know, figure our way out of it. Because, you know, if they go too far away from the pawn, like let's say they play king d3 or, you know, something like this, like we can even go just back and just tie up their rooks in the defense of the pawn, right? And, if they try to move away, we can even just cut their king off and just make their life a living hell. So let's say, for argument's sake, that, white tries instead to run the king this way. Like, they run the king in this direction so that, in a position like this, like, they can eventually try to block the checks with the rook, right? But that has its own problems as well, because black can even just play a move like rook f1, for example, just asking white how he's going to defend this pawn. If he tries to run this way, we then just pick up this guy, and, if it's rook and pawn versus rook, unless they get the Lucina position, it's basically going to be a draw. We'll just go Philidor position, and if you don't know what Philidor endgame is, you can look it up online, but yeah, basically it's good to know that if you block their pawn with your king, and they only have one pawn left, that it's going to be a draw, basically, for the most part. So yeah, that's basically how Firouzja, well, turned out he wasn't good enough at endgames to hold against Carlsen because he made the wrong decision here. But now you know both how to win with the triangulation and how to draw with the rook and 2 pawns versus the rook. Hope you found this video valuable, and if you'd like me to do more like this one, just let me know in the comments down below. And on that note, I will see you in the next training. Until then, take care.